Okay, everyone. So here we have your study success roadmap. So this is going to map out the next 24 months for you so that you are staying accountable and you're not panicking about completing all 13 units or modules within 24 months. So each of these checkpoints here obviously represent a phase or a step in the right direction until we finally reach the end, which is the finish line, and that's phase 5. So let's have a wee look at what these are. Okay, so the first thing what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take my face away so you can actually see it properly. Okay, so what we're seeing here is the first checkpoint is your early months. So this is months 1 to 6. This is going to be your icebreaker phase. Okay, this is the phase where we're starting to get a feel for the new platform. We're starting to kind of ease into our studies. We're probably trying to relearn how to write, for example, and research and reference and all of that sort of stuff. So this is your kind of phase where it's okay to be a wee bit rusty, and to just allow yourself to get into the flow of things, into the swing of things. Okay, so each of these bullet points kind of represent one thing that you need to concentrate on for each of these phases. Okay, so the first thing we have to think about is our modules. So within the first 6 months, we want to be seeing you complete modules 1 to 4. All right, and we're going to break this further. If you look at, there's going to be other resources out here that are going to further break this into even more kind of micro focused chunks, so you can get an idea how many hours per month and how many months you can have per module. Sorry, that's what I mean. But on average, it's between 1 and 4. Up to 4 modules within the first 6 months we're looking at. All right, and what we're doing during this first 6 months is we're focusing on our foundational knowledge. So obviously everyone's different. We'll all have our different backgrounds and our different kind of levels of expertise, but if you are just starting out, then this is basically just setting the foundations of what do the basic concepts and methodologies mean, what are they, what do they sound like, and what ones are acceptable based on what we know today, right? So we're just kind of getting an idea of the theory side of things and the glossary, so to speak, the holistic grooming glossary. So we're focusing on foundational knowledge rather than technical skill, all right? And we're trying to build strong study habits as well. So we're getting into an organized state, okay? So what I say to students all the time is that get your diary out for the next month and focus on that month. Now, basically what we advise students is to commit to 32 hours of study per module, not per week, per module, all right? So if you need to, complete modules 1 to 4 within the first 6 months, and how many hours do you need to designate to each month? All right, it's just basic maths. We'll work it all out for you as well. So like I say, look at the other resources on this tab for further clarity on what that might look like. But that's basically what we're doing, and we're going to set aside those designated study sessions that suit us, that fit into our diaries, our personal work life, and we're going to commit to doing it. All right, so we're going to build strong study habits. So first couple of months might be a wee bit shaky. You might not feel that you're motivated to actually do the work, but hopefully by month 6 you're going to get into the swing of things and you're going to have a really strong and consistent study planner that you commit to. The next checkpoint, obviously phase 2, is for months 7 to 12, all right? And that's where we'll be focusing on modules 5 to 7. We're going to start to see you implement practical into your daily day-to-day in your salon. So we're going to have a lot more practical tasks that are actual practical tasks. Currently, we've got practical tasks that have a combination of different theory-based questions, reflective-based questions, and also practical demonstrations as well. But months 7 to 12 and certainly modules 5 to 7 tend to have a lot more practical demonstrations to them. So we're going to start to see you integrate these sorts of approaches in your actual running of your salons, if appropriate. If you've not quite got a salon yet, and it'll be with your family dogs. We're also wanting to pay more attention to multiple choice. So obviously during our first 4 modules, there are multiple choice. You'll see that as you go along. They are not part of your grading, all right? They are simply there for your own accountability, really. So what we tend to kind of encourage students to do with that is look at what your results are through your multiple choice. Now, if you are struggling, then that will identify any areas that you need to work on more. Equally, if you're not struggling, it's going to identify your strengths and what could quite easily be your USP once you graduate. A unique selling point for those that don't know. So the multiple choice is going to actually gauge where you're at. Sorry, a lot of tongue twisting words. And you're learning. Okay, it's going to help you identify weaknesses and also strengths. You're also going to think about booking in your first inclusive one-to-one session with your tutor, and we call that the first year progress assessment. So we tend to recommend students to hold on to their one-to-one session until a point where they maybe need further assistance. Okay, so if you're starting to see that there is a trend and where you're kind of struggling, that would be your kind of indication that you need further support from your tutor, and that's when you would be looking at booking in your one-to-one. Now, during that, then we can then look at your multiple choice results, and we can also listen to what you're saying. We can also refer back to your practical tasks, and we can help guide you further and identify any kind of potential next steps for you to start getting the most out of your learning, if that makes sense. Okay, so that is what they are there for, guys. And it is an optional thing. You don't have to talk to your tutor one-to-one if you don't want to, but we certainly do recommend that you utilize it. Okay. Of course, if you feel like you're needing further support with your tutor on a one-to-one basis, that is a chargeable service. At the end of the day, all of our tutors are actively working in the industry, so they can't just be given their time for one-to-one sessions on a whim. So unfortunately, we can't offer that facility for free, but we do have other ways of you getting in touch that can help you get that support if you can't afford a one-to-one. So for example, we have weekly check-ins on our on our groups live. If you refer to your student timetable, you'll be able to see when they are taking place. Sometimes it's not convenient to do it every week. However, if you are really struggling, then you make the time. All right, it's as simple as that. So we have our weekly check-ins where one of the tutors, whether it's me or another tutor, will come on to our kind of social platforms and we'll speak to you live, and that's where you can ask any kind of general questions that you have, and we can answer them about anything technical or anything to do with your coursework, and we'll talk about that there and then. And if it's something more kind of advanced, then we'll arrange to maybe discuss that at the group session on the last Sunday of the month, which leads me on to your next student support option. So we also have group community sessions on Zoom every month on the last Sunday of the month, and they're an hour and a half approximately in duration, and that's a safe space for us to all connect with one another. So we're networking, we're also getting that emotional support, so we're checking in to see how everyone's getting on, and it's also an opportunity to get support, to get advice, and to get coursework support as well. So that's also something. Now, these sessions tend not to be recorded, just in case we want to share, something that might be a wee bit personable, and we don't want to have that out there in the web somewhere. So just for our own peace of mind, those tend to be unrecorded sessions. The live check-ins, however, are not recorded. They're always recorded and accessible to playback anytime. So that means that if you have a pressing question but you can't attend the live, you can ask the question in advance and your tutor can then cover that on the next weekly check-in as well. So that's another option for you guys. We also, of course, have or we try to certainly have monthly webinars and also the occasional Q&A. So again, it's just an additional incentive where you can get support, because you can ask questions not just to your tutor then, but also to our trusted professionals and affiliates who are coming into our space and offering their time and expertise. So you're getting an additional way to get that additional support as well. So that's another way to get support with us. If you're wanting to ask any other questions to your tutor, you can email them, and you can also message them. However, it's not a case of jumping on a call, okay? Your next checkpoint then is checkpoint 3, and that's covering months 13 to 18 months, all right? And at that stage, we're looking to complete modules 8 to 10. At this stage, we want to see a more deepened understanding of all the concepts and methods that we've covered up until this point, and we want to see you integrating them quite successfully in your day-to-day. So whether that's through what you're publicly sharing on your profiles and on your website, or if you're a wee bit shy, it's maybe what you're sharing with us through your practical tasks or within our safe private community as well. We do encourage students to share things in our private space. Obviously, that's then not shared out with there. And also, any practical demonstrations that are submitted into the HCA might very well be used for educational purposes, but will never really be used unless we get permission from whoever the appropriate person is, whether that is the dog carer whose dog is in the demo, or whether it's you as well, because obviously we understand that for some personal reasons, many students might not be able to have their face used in any sort of video footage for personal protection reasons and things like that. So it's absolutely fine, just giving us a heads up if that is the case. But we need to be seeing you demonstrating that through video footage nonetheless, all right? So that's what we're looking at this point. We're also wanting to see a more effective research ability as well. So in your writing, it should be coming across that you're a lot more confident with your research. You're a lot more able to source reputable references and cite them accordingly. So these are all things we're starting to see develop, hopefully by this point. During months 13 to 18. And also, we should be seeing you have the ability to connect the dots. So we're starting to see the bigger picture now. We're starting to see how everything's connected, that everything's an ecosystem, and that everything plays a significant role in how things turn out. And it's really starting to it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We're getting all of the individual pieces and we're starting to put together the jigsaw, and we're starting to see the bigger picture. All right. We're then looking at checkpoint 4, all right? So months 19 to 21, we're almost there. So this is the months where we're completing our final modules, so modules 11 to 13. Now, modules 11 to 13 include the Holistic Grooming Protocol, which is also talking about everything that we've covered as an ecosystem, everything covered and how it all works together. Those modules also include some very fun activities, such as connecting with other pet pros and building your professional network, and starting to really source local potential affiliations and partnerships as well, and how we can use that to not only earn more money via commission and refer friend schemes, but also how we can use that to add credibility to what we do and to show value to our community and ultimately our clients. So this kind of part is, albeit a wee bit scary, it's also a lot of fun if you're really getting into it. So at that point, we're also wanting to do our final research preview, right? So we're wanting to refer to all of the learning outcomes throughout the modules, and we're wanting to make sure that we've done enough research for each of those learning outcomes to tick them off. Now, your workbooks will have checklists for every module for the learning outcomes, so they should all be ticked, and we should be feeling very confident now with our knowledge up until this point. We are going to check in again with the multiple choice, and we're going to make sure that all of our multiple choice questions are over 80% pass rates. All right, so we're wanting to make sure they're all completed. We could probably even go back to the very beginning and do it all over again, just to see if we're getting 80+ pass rate straight away. All right, so we're kind of recapping almost on what we've covered up until this point. And it's really important that we do that, guys. It's really important that we get repetition, because repetition is what helps us to retain that information. So I would even go so far as to say that during those months 19 to 21, I would go back to the very beginning and redo all of those multiple questions again, multiple choice questions again. We're wanting to review all of our practical tasks. So all of the tasks that we've completed, all of the self-reflective exercises that we've hopefully popped down on our either our brain dumping worksheets or our journal or study notebook, whatever we've decided to use. We want to reflect back on them and see exactly what we have there. So what material have we collected? What information have we collected? And have we completed all of the relevant practical tasks as well? The thing that I love the most about the practical task aspect of the course is that they have been very specifically designed to create you a portfolio of resources. So you have pretty much contributed to your own resource hub. So I always say that you should, as you go with each of your practical tasks, if you're working from a computer, for example, then have a designated folder with practical tasks, and within that folder have designated module folders, all right? And for each of those module folders should have your practical tasks in there, including any of the photo evidence that you've collected, references, and also video demonstrations that you've done. And that's going to act then as a quick and easily accessible hub space for you going forward, because ultimately what we want to do then is we're going to start to repurpose all of that content into your business. And that's where the mentorship program actually would really help, like kind of pull that all together. So you start to repurpose your material and to use that to generate traffic and to attract the right clients to your business and to your website and things. So that is all purpose of the practical tasks. There is a reason behind it. That's why we have to encourage you to do it. They aren't part of the grading process, but they keep you accountable and keep you practicing. Which is the main thing. Because we are online as well, we do really want to make sure that we are being thorough with our certification process to make sure that it's not just anyone that's passing and that you are all competent. Because at the end of the day, you are going out to represent the HGA as well as your own business, and we want to make sure it's the right people doing that. So that is the purpose of them. So although they can be a bit daunting, they are certainly worth their weight in gold for more reasons than one. So your practical tasks is something that we're going to look back on, and we're going to make sure they're all okay, they're all ticked off. And another note on that is that because they're not graded or they're not part of your graded assessment, they often might not come back with much feedback. Okay, so your tutors will look over them. They'll take the time to look over them, and they might, if they find or identify any kind of area that needs to be clarified further, they might contact you and ask for that, or they might provide some sort of comment or feedback on the actual document, but they're not part of the final grade that you receive. So don't worry about that. It's taking the pressure off of you worrying that you're going to fail something or you're going to get marked down for something. That's not going to happen. Okay, so this is just helping you to retain information and to practice as you go. And also the practical tasks are also where we get a lot of our resources to use for educational purposes as well, like I said already. Okay, so that's for that, months 19 to 21. You would also be looking to book in your pre-assessment call with your tutor. So again, it's your included session. So when you enroll, you get 2 sessions. You get your first year progress assessment 1-to-1, and you get your pre-final grading assessment call. So that's where we will come on, whether I'm your tutor or someone else, but your tutor, and you will sit and you will go over your multiple choice, identifying your weaknesses and your strengths. You'll go over your practical tasks, and we'll also talk to you about what you actually want to do. So by this point, you'll have read over what options are available for you in order to complete the final grading assessment. Currently, there are 3 options, and there are various different styles as well. And based on everything that we've collected in our discussion, we'll decide which is the best and most likely to get you the highest grade when it comes to your final grading assessment. And so we will prepare you for that. And then that will be you. So you'll have completed modules 11 to 13, and you'll be ready now to start the research process for your final grading assessment, which takes you to your final destination, which is checkpoint 5 here. So months 22 to 24 will consist of you completing your final grading assessment, preparing your portfolio and the evidence to support it. So that will be your references, which hopefully you'll have collected throughout your studies. So as you've collected your references for each module, you simply put them all together into one document, and that's your entire bibliography for your portfolio. So you've got your portfolio, you've got your evidence, which is your references, any photos before and afters, any case studies that you've typed up, your practical tasks, your videos, links to your videos. On the note of videos as well, we might ask you to send in your videos to us via WeTransfer, because if we do want to use them for educational purposes, we can't get access to them to download via YouTube, so it might be WeTransfer. So that's all getting put into your portfolio to support your final grading assessment. Each of the options of the final grading assessment comes with their own templates, but you'll see that when you get to that point. Please don't worry about that right now. You're also going to look at your study hour log. So hopefully you'll have also been updating that as you go. Now, if you're working off, whether you're working off the online program here or you're working off of your student workbook and student content book on paper, you will have had prompts to keep filling in your study hour logs, which basically means that you're writing down and making sure you're committing to 32 hours of study per module. So that will accumulate to 416 hours of study by the end of your course. All right, so the updated study hour log should be completed after you've completed your final grading assessment, but submitted at the same time. Okay, so your hours of study will include the hours of study that you've committed to your final grading assessment, and then you'll pop that all into the one file, and you will put that alongside your final grading assessment. On a note of that, make sure that you proofread your final grading assessment more than once over different days to make sure that you're not missing any silly errors. Part of the marking rubric is to do with format, spelling, and grammar, and also your ability to reference correctly and reference up-to-date sources as well. So making sure all of those boxes are ticked, and it's really important that you do it over different days because you can miss things quite easily. We also recommend that you reach out to other students and perhaps designate yourself a study buddy. And then that means you can work together, which keeps the momentum going and keeps you accountable, but also means that come the proofreading process, you can even switch to read over each other's, and that can also help to identify any potential mistakes or errors that are silly. All right. And if you want to know about the marking rubric, that's also attached at the relevant tab. Please don't worry about that just yet. You're submitting it for grading, and then you're allowing up to 14 days, sometimes a slightly longer delay depending on how busy your tutor is. For example, if you happen to submit during Christmas period, there typically is going to be a longer wait then, because the Christmas rush and then obviously holidays after that. Okay, so just be a wee bit reasonable there if it is during summer holidays or Christmas holidays or whatever. But tutors will announce when they are intending on going on holiday in advance, just to let you know anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem. So that is your success roadmap. So as you can see, it's really simple to fit it all in within 24 months. You just have to be very organised about it from day one, basically, and stay committed to it. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, then please contact us via support. And yeah, we'll just take it from there. But good luck to you all, and I will see you all very soon.